Being a real estate investor is a game of people. It's not a game of bricks, it's not a game of wood. Everyone thinks that the business is about properties, but houses don't make decisions. People do. Sellers, lenders, agents, partners, contractors, tenants, they're the ones who shape ultimately what your success looks like in the game. And if you want to win this game, you don't need a hard hat. You need skills. Skills that help you spot the right deals, talk to the right people, and ultimately make the right moves. So check it out. In this video, I am breaking down the 7 core skills that every real estate investor needs to master. This is the stuff that no one's really teaching out there, but I'll tell you right now, it's what separates the amateurs from the pros, me from most people playing the game, and I want to give it to you right now. I cannot tell you how many wannabes I've met who try to do a flip or basically buy a rental, and then they're fixated on granite countertops or the feng shui of the living room. It's kind of like HGTV convinced a whole generation that real estate investing is just like interior design with a profit margin. But listen, I've built a massive portfolio. I'm not kidding. And I want to give you the skills of what you really need to absolutely crush it. And I couldn't tell you what kind of countertops, by the way, are in half of my properties, or frankly, all of them, because none of that stuff means anything in the game that I'm going to be teaching you when it comes to making maximum money. It's not about backsplash. It's not about bathroom tile. Real estate, it's about people, psychology, strategy, and skills. So check it out. Here's what we're going to be covering today. I'm going to teach you the skills that actually matter. The 7 things that every real estate investor needs to master if they want to succeed long-term in making this stuff while creating maximum value. These are the skills that make you dangerous, by the way, in up and down markets like the one that we're in. It doesn't matter what's going down. So if you're ready to stop playing house and if you want to start building wealth, stick around in this video. I'm going to get into all of it right now. By the way, please share this with other people and tell the algorithm that you're getting some value here. It helps my channel grow. All right, let's talk about the first skill that you need to master the game of real estate. It's called deal finding and evaluation. If you want to get good at finding deals, you need to look at hundreds of them. That's how you train your eye in your market to basically understand what does a 3-bedroom, 2-bath go for? What's happening to real estate in my area? What's the price per square foot? And at first, when you start looking at everything, I get it. It's noise and it's confusing because it's like, what do these numbers mean? But this is why I want you to get exposure to all of them. I want you to get exposure to prices and repairs and locations. And if you put in the reps and you start spotting the patterns, you're going to start realizing what's overpriced, what's undervalued in the market. And this is what's going to help you get acclimated to understanding how to crush it in the game of real estate. Like using Zillow as a decent starting point tool to just say, oh, I wonder what's for sale in my area. I wonder what's for rent in my area. And I wonder what those prices look like. And then you've got other apps out there like Connected Investors or custom deal software that filters by ROI, equity, more. So start with the free tools, get yourself acclimated. If you're in the game to win, you should be looking at deals every day. And one of my real estate mentors, Dolph DeRusse, told me that the deal of the decade comes along every single week, which means you've got to be looking if you want to spot it. Because the more deals you analyze, the more confident you're going to get in the numbers. And then you're going to start realizing when something looks good or something looks better. And then if you think you got something good, don't go solo. Do not be the lone wolf. I want you to share it with someone who has more experience with you and ask them, hey, can you poke around at this and take a look at this and help me understand if you think this is a good deal? Because it looks different than everything else I've been spotting. By the way, if you don't know who to run your deals by, I've got a link below for people that you can connect with in my private community. You can also use AI. You can plug your numbers and ask, hey, what are the pros and cons of this particular deal? The tools are out there. You just got to start looking. Okay, now you're saying, okay, Kris, I'm willing to start looking at the deals, but what should I be looking at? Here are the core numbers. What is the purchase price? What are the comparables? Meaning, this house is for sale for $320, but the comps put it at $380. There's a disparagement there where it looks like this is priced under market. Number 3, you want to look at the rent. You want to look at the monthly payments, the repair costs, the property age, and the exit strategy of what do I want to do with this? Do I want to wholesale it? Do I want to flip it? Do I rent it? Do I want to do a lease option? What am I going to do here? Now, you don't need to be perfect. You just got to get consistent because the reps are what's going to build the instinct to help you understand, oh, it's obvious. This is clearly a win. Number 2, negotiation and communication. Most people fear negotiation because they think that it means conflict. And especially if you love to avoid conflict, you're going to hate this part, but it's like putting in the reps and you can learn to master it. It's really just about understanding the numbers of the game and then how to communicate. It's asking smart questions, listening for pain points, and then structuring deals where everyone wins. Like, for just a moment, I want you to think how simple that is. Someone offloading a property off market, they have a problem. You're the solution in this game. In fact, if you want to know how you make all this money, you're simply creating solutions that no one else is willing to. Because in real estate, your words can make or lose you tens of thousands of dollars. Now, early on, I oversimplified the game and I thought that it was just about getting the price down. But now I also understand it's about terms, timing, repairs, financing, and ultimately how you present the offer. But remember, you're not dealing with property, you're dealing with people. There's sellers, there's agents, there's contractors. Clear, confident communication is going to be everything, and the people that make the most in this game, they basically become really good communicators of it. Now, if you want to get better at this game, you just got to talk to more sellers. You got to role play with mentors. You got to practice handling objections and asking, why are you selling? Because the best deal isn't always the lowest price. It's the one that solves a real problem for a person. And by the way, the bigger the problem, the bigger the price tag on the money that you make. Hey, I wouldn't pause this video if it wasn't important. For the last decade, on the last 2,000 properties, my team and I are averaging 60% annual ROI on our real estate deals. For the last decade, on my last 2,000 plus deals, my team and I are averaging 60% annual ROI on our real estate. And here's the best part. We do 100% of the work. You bring the capital, it's usually from like a 401k, an IRA, or equity in a home, and then we do everything else, and then we split the profits equally. This isn't a seminar, it's not a course. These are real deals, real returns, and if you want in to learn about what partnering with me could look like, click the link below and find out. Number 3, financing and OPM, other people's money. This is where the game gets really fun, at least for me it does, because once you understand financing, your money goes way further. A traditional investment property usually requires like a 20% down payment. So for every dollar you invest, the bank gives you $4. That leverage allows you to control a $300,000 asset for $60,000, but then you get to earn the returns on the full value of the borrowed bank money, not just your piece. That's the power of real estate when you're doing it, for example, the traditional way. Now I want you to layer in a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, because it's going to make the situation better. Let's just say that you own a home and you've got some equity in it. Well, you can pull it out and then you can use it for your next deal. Now, this is a form of house hacking, and I want you to think how powerful this is. Ultimately, yeah, you're going to borrow some money from this house to put it in your investment property, but your investment property is going to make you money that can service the debt. And it's like, whoa, I didn't buy the second house. My first house bought the second house. And now you're learning about the velocity of money, which is, well, let's just give you an example where you buy a primary residence with a 3% down payment. Anyone with a job that's good at saving money in 6 to 12 months can save up enough money to buy a house. But if you buy it right with the right kind of equity, then this house can buy your next house. And then guess what? That house can buy your next house. That's ultimately how I turned $3,300 into 25 properties, making me worth $1.6 million the year I graduated college. So as we're talking about financing and other people's money, it's like banks love lending on the game of real estate. But the real breakthrough here is OPM, other people's money. You see, once you've got a solid deal, you don't need a bank. And there are a ton of people out there who already have the money. They're just looking for a deal to invest in. That leaves gains for you and gains for them as long as you're not selfish. Basically, you bring the deal, they bring the cash, and you both win. I structure this very typically on my real estate deals in what I call a partnership. And a partnership is basically where I'm so good at finding deals that produce a great ROI. Over the last decade, my average ROI is about 60% a year. Well, I've got people out there with money sitting in 401ks and IRAs, and guess what? Their money is earning on their 401k an average of 4.2% over the last 2 decades. Compare that to what I'm earning. Or they got the money sitting in their S&P, compare it to the money that I'm earning, and then you add leverage on top of it. And the reality is, they're going to take money out of their retirement and put it in the game of real estate. It's one of the most common things people do so they can get in the game. Well, you caused all that. That's a win for you. That's a win for them. And now you have a profitable deal and money doesn't get in your way of doing deals. This is what I call a master skill of knowing that as long as you get at spotting a good deal, which was the first step I gave you, the money's always going to be there. You just have to know how to look for it. The fourth skill that you want to master in the game of real estate is called creative strategies. Here's the cool part. You do not need a pile of cash like you see on my desk here, nor do you need perfect credit to actually get in the game of real estate. Literally, when I knew I wanted to get in the game, my mentors looked at me and they're like, bro, you're young, you're 22, you have one credit card. We need to establish your credit if you want to traditionally apply for real estate. You got no money in the bank. And I'm like, guess what? I still got in the game just like you can right now. You see, with the right creative strategies, you can control properties without waiting years to save up, because people are building portfolios right now using nothing, just like me, except they've got hustle and they got smart tactics like I'm teaching you in this video right here. So here are 5 creative strategies that you should know about and you should know when to use. And I'm gonna hit these fast, but you should do a deep dive on each of them and subscribe to my channel because I go over all of them here for you for fun, for free. For example, let's talk about lease options. This allows you to control a home now, buy it later, and often with little or no money down. There's a house hack where you can basically live in one unit or a part of the house. You can rent out the rest, basically cover your mortgage. Number 3, you've got wholesaling where you get to lock up a deal just on paper without any money and pass it on to an investor for a quick fee that can sometimes be like $20,000 or $50,000. You got fix and flips where you're gonna buy low, you're gonna renovate, you're gonna sell it for a profit using hard or private money, like other people are gonna finance this whole operation. And then you got pre-foreclosures, right? You get to help struggling homeowners that are about to go default, and you basically get to say, let me take your property off your hands, I'll use some of the gains to solve some of your problems. Here's the bottom line with what I just shared. The point is there are so many ways for you to win in this game. You just have to learn them. You have to stop waiting. You have to start doing. Skill number 5, networking and team building. Real estate is a team sport. Just for a moment, I want you to think of all the people that are involved. I use realtors to find my deals. I use clever marketing to find my deals for off-market deals. Like today, I just had someone reach out and say, hey, I got this thing in Costa Rica, and someone else texted me and say, would you be interested in this particular deal? Networking is what opens up what I call deal flow. You see, if you're trying to do everything on your own, as in find the deal and then run the numbers and then line up the financing and swing the hammer, you're gonna burn out fast. The best investors, they build a squad. Let me just take a second and tell you about my original squad. The year that I graduated college and moved into my 10,000 square foot custom built home and quit my job is when I realized I need a team. And I don't have to give very much up to actually have everyone do most of the work, and I get to make a majority of the money as the investor on these deals. So what did I have? I had a realtor that was finding me deals. I had a finance guy that was putting the loans in place. I had a property management guy that was selling my lease options. And with that core 3 right there, I basically said, you find the deal and then you bring the money to the table and I'll find the partner. That was my job with the money from a 401k IRA or whatever. And then I want you to lease option it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the owner of this asset with my partner that brought the money to the table, but all these people are doing like 99% of the work. I'm like, no wonder you can get rich in this game if you master the skills that we're talking about right now. And it's not just about what people can do for you. It's about what you bring to the table. Go back to that original team that I just gave you. The realtor got to collect a commission on a deal from a qualified investor that basically knew he had a system for doing multiple deals. I was a dream to any realtor as long as they could find me a really good deal. My finance guy, he got paid out from the bank and he was commissioned out on all those deals and it didn't come out of my pocket. And then my buddy that would sell the lease option, he would get paid a portion of the profits for doing that. So I'm like, this is when I learned that if you want something done right, don't do it yourself. Build a team, don't go it alone. So how do you network? Well, join investor meetups, hop into online groups, connect with people on social, like literally broadcast that this is the game that I'm getting to. I already mentioned I've got a link below with my private community, which is basically free to join, where you can access all sorts of real estate investors that are like neck deep doing deals. That's where you go to network. Number 6, hustle and grit. There is a time to work your ass off, and then there's a time to reap the reward. Because in the beginning, guess what? You don't start maybe with money, you don't start with credit, and you don't start with a lot of knowledge. And you don't need to be rich or experienced to get in the game. But you do have to be relentless. Like the reason why I won is because I brought hustle. And it's interesting, people are like, what qualified you to do this? I'm like, honestly, I was just self-motivated. And it didn't come from nowhere. It came because my wife and I were financially struggling. I found out in college that I didn't have really what it took to become a doctor. And so all of a sudden it's like, it's on me to bring something to the table. So I don't have experience, I don't have skills, I don't have anything. What can I bring? Guess what? In the beginning, all I had was hustle, and you can bring that too. That literally might be the starting fuel that makes your first $1 million like it did for me. So that could mean knocking on doors, making phone calls, running the numbers, going to meetup groups, and doing all of the mundane, unglamorous work that no one else is willing to do. Hustle fills the gap while your skills and your capital catch up. That's what happened for me. That's how it's going to work for you. But hustle alone isn't going to carry you forever. That's where grit kicks in, because I'm just going to tell you right now, this journey is going to test you. I'll never forget when Robert G. Allen, the OG of the game of real estate, said, hey, when I put 10 offers out there, I only need one of them to go down to make, for example, $20,000. This is what $20,000 in stacked Benjamins looks like. And he basically said, as if he were speaking to me, it was kind of through an audio program, but he basically said, if you're going to make 20 grand after putting 10 offers out, what if your deal that gets accepted is not the first one, but the 10th one? Well, then on the first rejection, as everyone else will see it, which will let steam out of their sails and demotivate them, I want you to mentally actually deposit $2,000 in your bank. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a wicked cool trick. So each rejection is worth $2,000 if in the end I'm going to make $20,000 on 10 offers. So I would get rejected and deposit thousands in my bank account. I get rejected and do the same thing. And after a while, guess what? I had something other people didn't. I had grit. Because here's the truth. Deals are going to fall apart. You're going to get burned. You're going to lose money on deals. This has happened to me literally across the board. You're even going to question whether it's worth it. But you got to know this. If you give up, the game is over. Only you are the one that can keep you in any game of life you're going to play. And I just want to break the bubble right now by telling you probably the most important thing that I can. Check out, tune in. I want you to hear this. Any game that's going to do better than average is going to be harder than average. Anything that's going to get you ahead further, there's a reason why people don't do it, because they're going to fall short, and it's because they don't have the grit. Your spouse, your partner, your best friend, even your mentor, it's not their job to give you the grit to stay in the game. That ability, that's entirely on you. But here's the good news. You don't have to go to college for it. More than anything, it's a choice. It's this idea of I'm not quitting. Not now, not ever, because when everyone else is going to tap out, I'm going to keep going. That's why guys like me succeed, and then you admire us. You're like, oh my gosh, you guys are so amazing. You were probably born with all that knowledge and money in your bank account. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was fat, pencil-necked, and I started with nothing, and I was broke as a joke with debt. But hustle and grit, that got me to where I am today. That combination, it's lethal. And that's how empires get built. That's how your empire gets built. The seventh and final master skill that you're going to need to become a successful real estate investor is what I call emotional discipline. Real estate is going to mess with your emotions, especially if you let it, because deals are going to fall apart like I was talking about earlier. Contractors are going to ghost you. They're going to tell you they'll have it done in 10 days and it'll be like 3 months. Tenants are going to move out. They're going to leave the place trashed when you're like, wait, why would you do that? You gave me a $10,000 down payment and then you still have a mortgage due. In those moments, your mindset matters more than anything. And I'm going to tell you, this game is all psychological. Dolph DeRusse also told me that the game of real estate happens the 6 inches between your 2 ears. By the way, when everyone else bails or the glass is half empty or they're negative, they're never going to succeed as successful entrepreneurs, because you got to become irrationally positive. You got to become self-believing when everyone else says no. And when you failed 10 prior times, you've got to just get over it and step up and play the game. Because emotional discipline means that you don't panic when things go sideways, because I promise they will. It means not getting greedy when the market's hot and not getting scared when it cools off. It's being able to pause, assess, and act instead of react, because the reactors are the biggest losers in the game, not just of life, but financially as well. Literally, like the biggest losers that I've seen in this game, they didn't lose from bad markets. It was from bad decisions that were made in panic or pride. And I've got even a small percentage of my partners where I'm like, I'm doing everything for you so you don't get involved and screw the thing up. And then there's a house finally, and they own a pile of homes, and then one of them goes vacant, and then another one goes vacant, and they call me up, they're like panicking, and then they're worried, and then, oh no, what about the high interest rates? And I'm like, you do not have the emotional prowess that you need, which is why I'm doing it for you. But the majority of my partners, they're killing it. Why? Well, they've linked up with a successful mentor before they've developed the skills. And that's a hack, because if you know that you don't have that mindset yet, then for sure don't go it alone. Like, partner with someone that has that or has the experience, because then you can watch and learn on the job while you're making money. You may not make 100% of the money, but you can still be in the game. Listen, ultimately, if you want to become a serious investor, you've got to play the long game. You got to stay grounded. Stay humble and stay hungry. Your emotional thermostat will set the tone of every deal that you touch. So there you have it. 7 real skills that separate the wannabes from the very successful real estate investors. And this isn't about granite countertops or picking the perfect paint color. It's about learning how to find deals, structure them, fund them, and keep your head straight when the pressure hits. Ultimately, the people who succeed in real estate, they aren't always the smartest, they're not the richest, they're the ones who commit here. They build the skills, they take action, and then they keep going when others are out. And the best part, every one of these skills is a learnable skill. You don't have to go to college, you don't need a degree, you don't need a certificate, you don't need a stamp. Literally the question is, are you simply willing to put in the reps to develop these 7 skills? Because if you are, this game will 100% change your life. And for sure, if you want acceleration, explore some of the tools that I've made available below. And by the way, comment on this video. I want to know what you think about it because I'm always making videos based on what you want the most. And if you're not a subscriber, fix it right now. We'll see you on the next video.